Hello, hello. I thought it would be kind of fun to go through and talk about some of my favorite boulders that I was able to send this year and maybe break down the beta a little bit more. Hope everyone's having a great holiday. So I picked my top 6 boulders because I was able to send up to V6. So I thought it'd be cool to do a little breakdown. All right, so first we've got Flyboy Arete. So if you saw my little video that I made back in March, I was trying to send my first V5, and this was the first real V5 that I attempted in Bishop. It's this awesome boulder that's over in the main area. It's super popular, kind of steep, overhangy, very board climbery. And I gave it an attempt on my first trip to Bishop, which was last year, before I broke my ankle in December. And when I finally came back to start bouldering again, this was the first kind of boulder that I really wanted to send. So I tried it for 2 days in March. I wasn't able to send, and again, I have a video on this. And then I came back in October. Is it October? Yeah, October. in the end of October of this year, and I was able to send it. So let's talk a little bit about it. All right, so you start off basically on this huge jug with a big high heel hook. I'm gonna hit play. Yep, so there's the start. All right, so first I had to make a right move to the slot. There are 2 slots that are there, and only one of them worked. I think it's the closer one. So I had to make right hand to the slot, and then I move my foot, and I'm pressing up against the wall a little bit. Yeah, I make a move to this undercling, which you really have to tick it unless you're really accurate with your hand placement, because there's a really good spot to place your hand where it's basically a jug, but if you don't hit that spot, it's really challenging to hold it. I adjust the heel, and this was actually a big thing for me, adjusting the heel to kind of give myself a little bit of momentum and make sure that heel is really solid. So I pull for this next slot, grab that, and then this move was like really challenging. I fell like a bunch on this move because for some reason it was really hard for me to like see this hold because it's all the way around the corner. So you have like a tick mark here, but it's I fell on this move a lot. Big throw. You can see like my just cut feet. So I was able to grab that. Then you go up to this pinch hold, which this is probably, I think for most people, I don't know if this is the crux, but this is one of the more physically demanding moves because you don't have great feet. You're at an angle, and then this pinch hold is like, not bad, but it's just the angle. It's really hard. And you've already made all these other moves. So then to do this next move, I have to get my left foot up and do basically like a weird drop knee where I flag high in order to reach this crimpy side pull, which is basically turn the other way. There are 2 holds here. There's a lower side pull crimp, and then there's a higher one. And I think some people just shoot for the higher one, but for me, using this as an intermediate helped a lot because of my reach. Because I'm 5'6", and I have a 5'6.5" wingspan. So there we go. So grab that, then get the foot. And then staying up on this foot when I tried it in March was actually really, really challenging. But I think in the last couple months, I've been doing a lot more bouldering, and it felt a lot easier on this attempt. So you grab this like pretty decent crimp. Oh, actually, no, this foot's fine. It's this foot that's a little tricky. And originally, for me, this is kind of the hardest move on the entire climb because it's a really big reach. On the right-hand side, it's very slopey, and then on the left-hand side, it's a jug, basically, of this climb. And for me, it's better to actually go for the sloper-ish. I mean, it's not a bad sloper, but it's better for me to go to the right side because it's just a shorter distance. And it's just a big pull, and I'm already really pumped because I've done all these other moves, which is kind of the really cool thing about this climb is you just have like, it's just on you kind of like the whole time. And so, yeah, I threw for this a bunch. I couldn't commit to it because in March because I was a little scared of my ankle. And then when I came back, this is the second try, I think. I realized on, or maybe this is the third try. I realized on a previous go that I could actually like stand up on this foot and just really lock off and do it a little more statically. So just like this, where I just kind of creep my way up and push with my right foot. So I'm using like opposing force. And then this top out's not too bad. I ended up getting a high right foot, and then you just reach over, and that hold up there is actually pretty good. And you can just get your feet up. But yeah, super cool climb. Yeah, I don't know if this is my favorite V5 that I've done, but it's just a super classic and obviously very popular. Yeah, I was so psyched when I got this. I just sat up there for a minute. So yeah, that's Flyboy Arete, which is a V5 in the Bishop Buttermilks. And things that I learned: patience, and that's gonna come up a lot as we go through these. But also, I think sometimes going away and becoming a better climber, rather than just trying something over and over again, can be helpful. So I think I learned that. Yeah, and just discovering new things and persevering. So that was a really big one for me. Okay, let's talk about this next one. All right, so this is the Crack at Stony Point. And this is a climb. So I basically started climbing a couple years ago, but I had climbed a little bit in college when I went to UCLA. And this is a climb I had walked under. I basically looked at for like 10 years and always wanted to get up. And I tried it a couple times when I was in college and couldn't do it. So this is a climb I'd really wanted to get for a long time. So it kind of meant a lot to me when I sent it. And let's break it down. You start off, by the way, but the other thing about this climb too is over the years, it's gotten harder and harder because it's Stony Point and things just break because it's sandstone and people don't treat it well and it rains, etc. So some of the holds have gotten a lot worse. I think this finger lock over here has gotten worse, and this particular hold right up here has gotten way, way worse. You have to hit it a little more specifically. Okay. So I start off, and I've got my left hand. I've got my left hand in that little, I guess, kind of slot. Right hand, most of my weight's kind of in my left foot and my right hand. With the side pull, side pull undercling is like an amazing hold. But yeah, toe in, flag out, and edge. Reach up, and I grab the jug. And then here you have to swing your feet over. You find the feet, and then I get a high left toe and reach out. So there's two different finger locks. The top one looks like it's gonna be better because it's bigger, but it's worse. So you kind of have to commit to this right finger lock. And then on this attempt, when I actually got it, I actually got a right heel hook here, which I think you could do it either way. Yeah. So then I throw for this high left hold, and this hold you have to hit it really specifically because it's really easy if you just slip out. One thing that helped me was adjusting my foot. Before, I was just pressing my left foot into the rock. But actually, if you do a little bit of it's very subtle, but if you do a little bit of a drop knee, instead of just pushing against the rock, so when I reach it, I hit it, and then there's just a subtle turn, rather than just keeping my leg straight, it actually gives you a little bit of extra body tension right there. So you can see how my ankle's like turned to the right. That actually, believe it or not, even though I cut feet, helps you stick the move so much harder, or so much better. And then for me, this next move is really hard because it's just like a big reach, and it's a jug, but again, you got to really throw for it. So what I ended up doing is getting a high left toe in the jug, and then actually pushing off the opposite wall. Or up the, this is the first time I've done this, guys, so it's going to be a little rough. Pushing off the left side so I can reach the jug. Once you grab that, it's not too bad. So I just get my feet over, grab that high left hold, which isn't too bad if you grab it from the right angle. And then I ended up getting a high heel hook. I get a lot of heel hooks when I climb. And then change it to a toe, and then just mantle. So that one was a lot of fun. Okay. Awesome. All right. So that is, yeah, that's the crack at Stony Point. Highly recommended. If you guys like this, I will do more of these breakdowns. But yeah, this is a thing I'm trying for the first time. All right. So this was actually, I actually sent this, I think a couple weeks later. This was the first climb that I really spent a good amount of time projecting outdoors. And this is a V5 that's not that well done. It's a low ball, meaning it's pretty short. So there's not much chance of you hurting yourself. And it's over actually right next to the crack on the other side. It's called the corner mantle. And it's not that climbed. It's super fun. It's really fun movement. And yeah, I spent two full sessions just working on this climb. All right, so you start off basically, you've got this like side pole kind of undercling thing, and it's very easy to dab the start. So sometimes you got to like dig the ground a little bit. So I get a left toe, and I'm not touching the ground, but it almost looks like I am because you're really, really close. You reach your right leg out high, and you're pressing against the opposite wall. And this angle is actually pretty steep. So this first move is pretty powerful. So you're here, so you have to get off the ground. Then you big throw to this crack slot. And I think, yeah, I almost hit this weird little crimp when I hit it. Anyway, then another move to where it actually gets good. And then you can bring your feet around. I get a toe up on that little edge, and then I immediately get a right heel hook, which locks you in. Then you can basically just sit up, get a high hand, and I have very sweaty hands, by the way, guys, so I tend to chalk up a lot. All right, so then you kind of push up, and then there's this very kind of smooth, rounded crimp that you grab with your left hand. And then I ended up having to bring my foot over, reaching around to the left and getting a really long toe hook. And then I end up weirdly switching my right toe to a heel. So I'm basically kind of like bicycling the rock to try and basically make this mantle happen. And I'm like so close to the rock here. And then I can switch my hand over for the mantle and then slowly bring my feet up. And then this last little bit is you're just like struggling, trying not to slip off the rock, which is kind of fun because it's a slab, but it's a super safe slab. So you can just basically kind of mess around. So super fun climb. Would highly recommend more people try it as long as you don't break the holds. Corner mantle at Stony Point, V5. All right, there comes the woo, which I always end up saying at the top of boulders. Okay, let's talk about Paul's Rock. So this is a super popular climb at Tramway, which is one of the most popular bouldering spots in Southern California. Oh, let's talk a little bit really fast about what I learned from Corner Mantle. Just the value of going bouldering by yourself, as long as you try and do things in a really safe way. I think sometimes when you go bouldering with friends, it's really fun and you get a lot of psych, but sometimes you need to move at your own pace and be able to do things on your own. And this is a really good boulder to try on your own because you can just really dial it in and it's really, really safe. Yeah, I think bouldering by yourself, as long as you don't, go beyond your limits and do anything too stupid, can actually be really helpful for your climbing in general. All right, Paul's Rock. Yes, this is V4. So you start off, there's so many different ways people do this climb. So this is a really fun climb to watch. And the thing I love about this climb is just how technical it is. All right, so you've got right hold, left hold. These are both kind of slopey, not terrible because of the angle. And I had to bring both my feet underneath me. Then I have to make room for my hips. So I bring my right foot out, and then I do this toe hook. I know some people do a heel hook, but the toe hook worked for me. And then I reach over, and right up here you got this really tiny, here, I'll show it later. You've got this hold. So this hold, you basically got two different like crimps that are basically on a sloper, I guess. And they're like just enough to make the move work, but you really have to hit them precisely and kind of trust on them. So it's very kind of techy because you feel like you're going to slip out and you kind of have to trust that you're not. All right, so I reach up, grab this one, then I bring the right in, and I'm actually super spanned out here. This is a lot of body tension. Yeah, figuring out the spot. And then, see here, there's this rail, and I know some people use it. I found it makes the climb harder. For me, it was just easier to jump. So from here, I just bring my feet up, hit that right foot, left foot, and then just shoot and grab that. And it's a huge hold. Once you grab that, it's a pretty easy mantle. You just bring your feet up, grab the edge. And again, you know, there's a rock down here, but it's not high, so it's a fairly safe climb to try on your own or with some spotters. And then I just shot another angle here. This is me doing it on another day when I came back. But yeah. So what did I learn from this? So on this climb, I think the biggest takeaway for me was just like learning how to project climbs outdoors and just work climbs. The first time I came here, I don't have the footage of that, but basically I tried this move where you're just on this like slopey crimp over and over and over again. And I got so excited. I was with someone else, my friend Sean, and I just kept like firing on it over and over and over again without taking rest. And the move went from feeling like pretty doable to feeling almost impossible because I just wasn't taking enough rest between attempts. So big takeaway I learned from this climb was you really have to take your time and take rest outside. So I will oftentimes between boulders, I will set myself a timer. It's super kind of nerdy, but I'll set myself like a 3-minute timer, a 5-minute timer, or even a 10-minute timer. And then when I'm sport climbing, I'll set myself sometimes an hour between attempts. And that way I'm not like, I don't know, going like, oh, I want to get on again. I want to get on again. I'm just, breathing and trying to be present and focusing. And I'm not worried about like firing on too quickly. So yeah. So, and I still, obviously when I'm climbing, I do fire on too quickly between attempts, but I think for me, setting a timer helps. So yeah, that's what I learned from this climb. It was a really big lesson. Okay. All right. We are at the fifth boulder. All right. So this, is a climb called Square Dance. It's also at Tramway. As you can tell, I really like Tramway. And it's over in a really popular area. Swing Dance is actually right next to this and actually kind of crosses into this. And that's one of the most popular V7s at Tramway, which is a climb I do want to work once my fingers feel good. So let's look at this. So I actually did this climb I did most of this climb like 4 times in a row because I didn't realize you had to start so low. I thought, you start from like this next move. So yeah, you start all the way in the base of the climb. Most people start this climb. You got these 2 holds. Most people turn the other way. They start with a high left heel hook. And then I think they're pressing against the rock with their right foot. But for me, that felt really challenging. And this actually felt easier too, because this edge is really, really good. I tend to have weird beta. Anyway. Let's check it out. So I'm here, get your butt off the ground. And it's like, it's very steep. So then I have to basically fire over to this really good crimp. And then I swing my feet all the way around. Yeah, don't do this beta if you're like 6 foot. There's no way you'll be able to move your legs. Swing my feet around and I'm just pressing against the wall. And then I had to bring my right hand in. And then then I get a heel hook, so that I can then make this move where I go over to this next crimp with my left hand. Now I press with my right foot, come out, and then just slap this thing. It's actually interesting because for me this is a pretty big move, but also you're slapping off this sloper. I used to be terrible at using slopers outside, and I'm I'm not good by any means, but I've definitely gotten a lot better since practicing. Work your weaknesses, people. All right, so press up, you finally get the jug, and then from here, this climb is just almost completely over, but you just kind of traverse over. And you got a little fun mantle. But yeah, I did this climb like, except for the first move, I did it like 4 times in a row. Hence my comment at the end. Okay. All right. Here we go. This is the last one, guys. And let's talk about Frank's problem. So I probably should mention, I probably mentioned it a bunch of times, but last year in December, I broke my ankle on a climb called Coda's Corner at Stony Point. Because I took a big fall. I landed on the pad, but there was a rock under the pad, and my ankle just hit it and just kind of pushed inward. So climbing like high balls or just, higher boulders in general, it's been a little bit of a struggle the first part of this year. And then starting in the summer, I started to kind of be comfortable doing that sort of stuff again. And this climb, super fun. This might be my favorite climb I've done at Tramway. But this climb is a little bit high, and there's a kind of the top out isn't super hard, but it's just a little bit scary because you have to trust the sloper. And there's this big rock, and it's kind of high off the ground, right? I mean, it's not like a high ball, but you're like 12 feet off the ground. So I was doing this climb, and I got to the top. This is not on this session, but a previous session, and I ended up taking a fall, or I ended up dropping from basically this last move. So let me pull it up. So I got all the way up here. So I'm like, took this fall, and luckily, oh my god, I had the best spotter in the world. So basically, I was climbing it in the heat. I had to bump off of this like left sloper. I was really pumped. It was at the end of the day. You can see my elbows are like crazy turned upward. So I go to take a fall, and this for me was like so scary. I'm trying to like bump my hand up this rail. I'm like, oh, I can't do it. So I take a fall, and this guy just like caught my hips and brought me into the pad. And it was like the softest fall I've ever had. It was freaking amazing. Having the spotter made me really want to start getting better at spotting other people because it was like such a lifesaver. So anyway, I had this crazy fall. I wish I knew this guy's name. And then I decided about a month or two later I was going to come back and do it because Tramway was closed for like a month. All right. So this is basically my first go of the day. Like the last time I attempted this climb was that fall, right? So basically you got this first move. You got this like, I guess slot type thing. And basically this first move is just kind of powerful, right? So you have to trust this high left toe, which is not great. You push up and grab this. I'd use a lot of body tension to hold this. And again, I think if you're taller, a lot of people do a left heel hook. But for me, that's a pretty big reach to grab that. So basically, you shuffle along here. Then I had to basically... There's like a side pole that I have to cross into. And then I very specifically move my right foot over and then over again to this right hold. For me, that right hold is super helpful. Then you can bump your hand in and across. And then this right hold for me, for some people, I know this feels good. For me, this did not feel like a good position to be in. But I just kind of committed, right? You get your left foot up. I bump my foot over a little bit. For me, anytime I'm having issues with climbing and I can't figure out what to do, it's always about the feet. Because the hands sometimes are pretty obvious, but sometimes the feet aren't, and they really like set you up. So then you have to push off your feet, that left foot, and reach all the way up into this slot. And it's not good lower down. You got to go really high up into the slot. And trust it. Then now you're at a point where it starts feeling a little scary, and you're a little bit pumped. So then bring your right foot in, I flag out, and then you got to go all the way up to the lip, and now you're a little bit sideways. And this whole rail, there are good sections of it and bad sections of it. So I think the section I'm on is okay, but not amazing. But, you know, that's bouldering. As you keep climbing up, it gets scarier and scarier instead of sport climbing where it gets safer and safer. So now I bring my feet over. And the temps today were actually like pretty decent. They weren't amazing, but it wasn't in direct sun like last time. All right, so I get over here, and then I throw up. You have to throw up to this basically kind of like meat hook, like that's on this rail. Bring your feet up, and then basically my left hand goes to this basically sloper that you have to trust to bump your hand up on there. And then this last move, get your feet up, and you just have to trust it. Trust that you're not gonna you're gonna be able to press up. So doing this climb, I think when we talk about things that I've learned, doing this climb taught me a lot about mantling and pressing up. But yeah, doing this was a really big deal for me, just getting on something after I took a big fall on it. I think it's very easy when you're climbing to get scared of something and then want to avoid it. And I think as long as you're being safe, or as safe as you can be, if you get on something that's kind of scary, it's kind of good to get back on it. And kind of conquer it, because then it's not as scary, and then you kind of learn from it. But yeah, I was very emotional at the top of this. All right, guys, so those are, I think, my top 6 boulders from this year. Hope everyone has an awesome new year, and thanks for sticking along with me as I break these down. Let me know if you want me to do more of these, and yeah, have an awesome day.